Okay, so I think what we should do, we should make things very clear. All right, we have low cover or ranged combat, short. Okay, we have grenade from a short. We're going to have grenade tall, and we could just do a typical grenade as well, I suppose. What else do we want? We want change covers. It's going to be a little different than just the normal get covers. We're going to go from a cover to another cover, and in here so in here we have out of range, has no target. The other one we're going to want is we'll call it cover blown. Okay, so range combat, we don't have cover. This one we do. So more or less, if cover is blown, what do we do? We're just going to hold back up and get a new cover. Okay, and let's do grenade. Oh. And that can sit here. And when this one's done, we can go back. Same with this thing. Go back. Oh. Change covers. From here, if we get this, we will say, okay, we need another event, so we're going to change covers. So let's say new cover. And when we change covers, we don't want to necessarily get this cover. We're going to want to probably, you know what? Let's go like this. Let's make two of those, because we can say new cover. Actually, no. That will be just fine. We won't use a finish. We'll say high and low. I guess we already have tall and short. Tall and short. Okay. So range combat is, we can come out of there if we have no target, and let's say take cover. Then we'll go like that. So this will be our, this is our collection for all the ranged combat, right? So just looking at this, okay, we have ranged combat. Now we need something to tell us to take cover, right? So one of the things we could do here is if we're in range combat and we're doing all this fun stuff, right? We have no weapon, we're in range, we're doing this stuff. This needs to be able to communicate with the rest of kind of the system that it's okay to do so, right? Because in the shooting, we don't want to switch covers, say in the middle of this loop, right? We want to limit it, right? So when this is done and we go into this wait here, at this point in time, we can now set a bool. We'll call it action done. So in here, let's set bool value, action done to true. We're going to move this up right to the top, no, right above the wait. We want to make sure we subtract. And when we come in down into here, right into this guy, the minute we hit this loop, we're going to say false. Now action done is going to be an output. Right, so here we have action done as an output. So what we kind of need to do is continue on and push that right out. So we need another bool in this FSM, and we'll also call it action done. We'll just mimic its name. And action done can also be an output. And the output is going to come from this guy's output. So whatever this guy's doing, he's going to be able to talk all the way back up. And in here we have action done. So let's say action done. And now this thing will be able to communicate with everything else. So we need an FSM to say, hey, if this is true, should we possibly take cover? Right? So that's what we need to build. Right, so we're going to come into here and we're going to say bool action done, and this time this side's an input, right? And all we're going to do is bool test action done, and if this is true, we're going to run a chance. And what is that chance? We are going to send random event. We only need 2 in this particular case, and we can do say for example, let's go with nothing, and let's go with say option 1, and you know what, to make this more flexible, let's do another one and do option 2. Okay, so if nothing happens, we're going to go here, and we're just going to do another bool test. Only we're not going to run chance, we're now going to wait until it's false and go reset. And if it's option 1, send event to the host, let's say option 1. And then we can do that again, but with option 2. All right. So now we have option 1 and option 2. The only thing we need here is we need the chances. So this is the nothing chance, and we have option 1 chance, and we're going to have option 2 chance. So the chances are inputs. All right, so now if we save this, this is going to be our random options. So we can now get rid of that. Let's go up to our actions. So if we are in here, we can now run an FSM. And this can be the random options. And we have action is done, which is this guy. So we're just going to link those. Now we have the chances. In this particular case, we're only going to have the 1 chance, not 2 of them. So let's go point, say point, let's go 0.6 and 0.4. This one we can stay at 0. So we're not going to have take cover. Instead, we're going to change this to option 1. There we go. So now, if he goes into this combat, in between his attacks, his bursts, which is what the action done will do, it's going to run a chance that we might change things up. And if we do, then we run these things called option 1 and option 2, which we can use it for anything. And in this particular case, it's going to be to retake cover or to take cover. So there's range combat. Now we can actually do the same thing down with these ones and run the grenades and the change color based off those options. So let's go we almost have to kind of remake this thing completely. So there is one more thing we need to do. 2 more things in the ways of support templates. One is if we look at the logic of get cover and we see the angle check, we need this. So we're going to copy that, and I'm going to build a new FSM and paste it here. And what we need to do is if we look here, cover blown, right? That's what we need to build. Well, what is cover blown, right? So we get our positions, to which we have the same angle, and we need a target, which would be so we're in action, so we need, like in the actions, we get the get FSM, get this target, the one our brain is looking at. So we also need that here, right? Because we need a target to do this from. And we get position. All right, few things need to change. So we need, essentially, we have our current cover. Current cover, which is an input. And our current cover now has, we have our target, we have all of this fun stuff, target position, current cover position. Okay, that's all good. We're normalizing stuff. We get all of that, and we do our dot. So now, what we need is the skip. Right, so if it's greater, it's cover blown. Or I guess we could go like this, right? We don't need these ones anymore. This one's send event, again to the host, to cover blown, right? So here, now these need to be every frame. The position of the current cover doesn't need to be every frame because it's not going to change. That's about the only one that's not going to change. Cover forward. That one's actually not going to change. We don't need that one every frame. So just yeah. I mean because the cover's not moving, so we don't need to get those ones every frame. Just the other ones. All right. So this can now be a template as cover angle check, we'll call it. Right, so let's get rid of that and go up into our actions. And if we're in here, we can now run FSM. Our cover angle check. So here, if we were looking at angle of cover -0.6, we might as well maintain that, or else we're probably going to have issues. In fact, we should almost make that a variable for this FSM itself, right? So that anytime we're going to use it, angle of cover, right? And we can even put that as an input. And then I can show you something even cooler with it, right? So angle of cover, we know it's -0.6, that's what we're kind of running with. So let's say angle of cover, and we'll just do the same thing up here. There we go. Now if we want to use it somewhere else, we have a variable, and we know it's going to be the same on everything. So anyways, our current cover is what? Our cover, right? Because that's what we're getting here. Returned is our cover. So we have cover. And it's going to fire the cover is blown. So it's going to go that way. Right? I'm just going to copy this whole thing, and I'm going to come it down and place it in here because it's going to be needed in here. All right. So the other thing we want is no. Okay, so I'm going to show you something real quick as a little additional thing here. If we click on our crazy girl, we have all our FSMs. All right, and we might have a few different things happening in here. Now, if we want to keep good track of stuff, we can actually add a component, Playmaker, called Playmaker controls. And now if I take this and I move it up, move up, constantly just moving this thing up. Let's put it right to the top. There we go. That's good enough. So as you see, it actually has all the different FSMs and what they have for their input variables. So this thing itself doesn't have any logic in it. You can't do anything in it, but it's a nice way that if you start having a bunch of stuff coming along here, other than going in and out of different FSMs, we can just have one spot. And you know, here's action. And if we want, we can also click on these and open up that. It always opens up this as well, whatever. And it takes us to our FSM. Just a nice thing that if you're having an object and you have numerous FSMs happening and lots of variables, it's a nice way to kind of keep things in one spot. Okay, so said that was just a side bonus. So here we have out of range. Has no cover. We have cover is blown, and that's coming from this guy. We also need grenade and new cover. So that's actually going to come from this run options. Right? We're going to paste that down here, and we're going to paste it down here. So I'm actually going to change grenade and new cover. Grenade is now going to be option 1. And events, let's make option 2. New cover can be option 2. Right? And down here I'll do the same thing. This can now be option 1, and this can be option 2. So now we don't need to make a whole bunch of different logic here, right? And if we want, we can alter some. Like if we're in tall cover, you know, maybe we prefer tall cover, and we don't want to change that too often. And if we know option 1 goes to grenade, option 2 is cover, like a new cover. Let's say we were only going to run a 0.2 and a 0.3. You know what? I tend to like to try to keep these equal to 1. I don't know why. It doesn't actually matter. If these were all like different numbers, it's not that big of a deal. But for me, it's just one of those things. Maybe it's OCD or something. Fuck, I don't know. Where maybe if we're in low cover, we have a higher chance of wanting to do a new cover. And we can do it like that. Right, and here we should have the option to is, no, actually we don't need it, it's at 0. I mean, if you want to put it there and just go to the same place as a safety, I guess that works. Okay, so this covers our angle checking and some randomness. We just need to make sure that combat's good, right? And so we have to build these. We got to build, you know, 5 FSMs here. Fair bit. But there is another one. There's a 6th one. And that one is going to be finding a position especially for these ones. Is if let's see, this guy has run to cover. Yeah, okay. So anyways, so if we're in these and we have these various things, the combat's a lot different, which is why there's 2 states. And if we are here at this spot, we don't want to just start shooting, we're hitting a wall. We need to be able to move our character over to the side, or if need be, you know, or move to another side. So the way we need to do that is we need to get our cover position, come over X amount on each side, and we're actually going to raycast. and we're going to see what side's better. All right, so that's kind of what we need to do an FSM for. Okay, so this guy here is I'm going to get rid of him. We'll deal with that later. So what do we need? We need to know what our cover is. So that's an input, because we're going to be taking it from the actions. And once we have that, we need to transform point. Actually, we need two of those, right? So we're going to transform the point of our cover 1 to its x, and that's the right side. And then we also need to transform the point of our cover on the -1 on the x, or you can take that a little farther, right? You can maybe go 1.5. Oh, -1.5, and this is the left side. Okay. So the other thing we need to do is, now we have these positions, we need to raycast. I'm going to do a raycast 2. We need 2 of those. Move to the bottom. And we don't want to raycast necessarily from an object. We want to raycast from a position. We're going to raycast from the left side. Actually, you know what? I'm going to copy and paste the top one. I'll set it up first. And we also need to aim this at the player, right? But now we're dealing with a vector. We're not dealing with an object. So it's a little different. We need to be on world space. Distance probably doesn't need to be that high. I mean, not that it's going to be a big difference, right? So we're going to raycast, and we need to know the direction. And the direction is get, well, we have to know what the target is. So let's just go over to our actions. And we have this guy. I'm just going to copy him. And there. Now we have a target. Something that we're going to be able to look at. And now we have our transform point. We transform both points. We have a left side and right side. So now we need a direction, right? So vector 3 operator. So we want, after we transform the points, we also need to get position. We need to make sure we do that. After we get the target, let's get target position. And now we need to operate. We need target position to the left side, subtract equals left direction. I'm going to copy that, paste it, and target position minus right side, subtract equals right direction. Alright, so from the left side, we're going to do left direction. And if we hit, we need to know what we hit. And we're going to go hit left object. Alright. Okay, now I'll copy that and paste it. and this is from the right side, right direction, and hit right object. Okay, so let's just finish that, and now let's game object compare. So is the target the hit left object? Right, and now we could we're going to have to communicate this with the FSMs as well. So okay, hit right object. So now we have two of them. I'm not going to use the events, I'm just going to use these. So once this happens, we can say, okay, let's come down here and say if this is true. Actually, you know what? Yeah, let's use this. Let's use the events. So pass and fail. All right, so we'll get rid of the finish, and that means we're going to have to run this twice because we can't run them both like that, because that will be a horrible thing. So now, okay, so we're going to check the left object. It's a pass or it's a fail. If it's a fail, we can just go over here and check the right. And this guy, pass, fail. And if it's a fail, we need to do something because we don't have a position that we can go to shoot. Right? And if it's a pass, well, then we need to communicate that. But there could be two options here, right? Because what if you're hiding behind a smaller object? You kind of almost want to go with both of them. So what I think would probably be a slightly better option is an array. So vector 3. So that also means we want to make sure that array available positions has been reset. Just going to move it up here. Right, okay, so if it's passed, we're going to come down here and we're going to array add available positions. We're going to add, this is the left object, so we're going to say the left side can go in there, and we're going to pop over here, copy and paste, and if this one passes, same thing, but we're going to add the right side. And now we can, available positions can be a output. So this guy can actually finish FSM, and this will be save template. Check cover openings. All right, so now let's remove that. Go into our actions. So now, at least when we're going to come into a cover, and we're checking this height, I think what we could do, because the cover position's not moving, is we can run another FSM here. Right, we can cover, check cover openings. So the cover is going to be the cover, of course, and this is going to be the available openings. And on finish, we'll tell it to finish. All right. So there is a little more data for us to run. So now that means these guys, when we have him, we need this guy as an input so that he knows which way to run. All right. And if we want to check that, let's see. Let's see kind of how that's looking. So they've run over here. They're in their tall cover so that they didn't crouch. And if we come along here, it is stuck in here. Let's see. We did something by every frame, apparently. The raycasts. So we need to obviously fix that up because we don't want those raycasts to be happening all the time. We just need the one raycast, so we can put those to zeros. All right. So they run, they go into here. Now if we look at them, oh, we're still stuck in the coverings. What else did we have? Under the pass. So the target is the player and the hit object. Oh, we never did put in the pass equals. So we hit Crazy Girl, which is kind of weird that we would hit them. But all right, let's adjust that because obviously we need to put in pass and fails. And let's avoid hitting our player by not hitting the character layer. All right, so let's hit, in reality, I mean, we can just, as long as we hit the terrain and the player, we can do that. But I'm gonna say, all right, don't hit the character layer. So invert it. One character and invert. There we go. So they come along, they go in, and they now have, there was nothing to the opening apparently. So we need to check that because it should have something. And cover 4. Has no target. So there's something happening there. Alright, so has no target, which comes from range combat from here. Brain, target, target. Oh, right. Right. So the brain, that's going to be one of the other issues we need to resolve, is, I guess, under the right person. The brain, the sight, the way the sight testing works is on the sight testing we have, it actually checks for obstacles, right? So we need a method in here that once we hit combat or something, we're going to need to either bypass it or let it know that, hey, you may not see the player all the time because you're in cover. So that is something we need to resolve. In the meantime, let's take a look at this. I'm going to put these back on every frame for a brief second and put debugging on. Let's make sure that they are going in the right direction. Because I'm almost thinking that that sight thing might be messing them up. Right, so we have a sight going that way and a sight going that way. That's super weird because we're right there. So let's take a quick look, and if I'm guessing, oh, we do have the player here. We'll get our positions. Transform point of our cover. And if you look at these should almost be the same, right? The only difference is going to be, they'll be off just by that tiny bit, right? It's angled a bit, so it's not quite on the X, right? That's the whole point of the transform point. All right, so those are fine. So target position to the left side. Oh, we said get position of ourselves. There's the issue. So let's fix that, because we don't want to get position of ourselves. No, no, no. We want position of our target. Right, getting position of ourselves doesn't freaking do us very much. All right, so they come over here. They sit in there. Now let's see what this guy says. So get position. So he's got the raycaster on. And as you see, we have two raycasts that are coming from our guy here, not from the correct spots. Right? And that's not what we want. We want to come from the left side. And the left side should be this. Nope. Should be this, right? So 5, 5, 4, 25, 2. And say 304, 8. So that's saying it's the right thing, but it is not giving us. I'm almost wondering if I should go like that. Might have to swap from raycast 2. So raycast. Yeah, let's try this. I'm going to set those to none. Right, we're not raycasting from our player. We want to raycast just from those positions. That's better. So yeah, we had to have that as none. So as you see, now both positions it checks just off to the side of where they are, right? So we have this one here, and it's going to hit the wall, so it's not going to go into the array. But this one here can, right? And if we look, I guess I'm going to have to come out of this and take that off of every frame. Repeat interval, let's put those back down to 0. Probably take debugging off. We don't need that anymore. And now we should have an array. I mean, the odds are in most cases you're only going to have one thing in the array, but you do have the option for two of them. Right? And we do have one thing in the array, which is normal. That's to be expected. We're not going to get this one, but we should get this one. And that's most likely what we're getting here. Now, with that said, we do have an issue along here. And that's for, I think the best solution to this is when we get cover and we get this thing, I'm going to copy that and I'm going to actually bring this out over here. And actually, you know what? No, I'm going to put it into a whole new state, all on its own. There. Now we don't have to worry about it anymore. So then what I'm going to do is, if we have a target, I'm going to go into each of these, like our get cover, and I'm going to get rid of that. But now I'm going to say target is an input. Right? Because now I come out. Okay, he wants a target. There's your target. Now he's not going to change based on the site of the brain thing there. So we're going to come over here. We're going to say run to cover, and we don't care about the target in this one. We don't get it. But over here, this one we do get it. So he can go, and target can now be an input on him. So now we can go him, and we say target is target. Same thing. Cover height might not have it. No, it doesn't. Okay. So we come along to the range combat. Can actually keep it. I mean, they're not in cover, so if they lose sight, it's fine. They'll come back over here, or you know. But these guys, we don't want that anymore. We want target to be an input, right? And then we can now target. That'll resolve that little issue we have. Okay, so now that we've gotten there, we've now got we've got a whole bunch of things set up. So let's very quickly, because this one will be easy to do, the change covers, is if we actually look at get cover, we can copy this one because it's going to be very close to what this one is. So add FSM. All right. The only real difference here is we'll set everything null, is we need one more filter, right? So when we loop, we want to do a distance check. Actually, I can probably just copy this guy over. Same idea. Oh. So we're actually going to use two distance checks, right? So this one's based on if distance to cover from here is less than the cover distance, then we go on. But this one here, what we're going to do is distance to cover needs to be greater. So now we're going to swap this over to the pass. Pass and skip. So we need pass on if it's greater, but obviously it's not cover distance. We're going to say we need at least a distance of we'll say 2. And if it's equal, that's okay. If it's not, let's skip. Right? And that's it. That's all it's going to do. So it said it's almost the same thing as the get cover, except for it has one additional filter of it. It can't choose. Actually, no. We do need to add one more thing, but it's almost the same thing. Like it can't choose something that's close. But what the other thing we do need to do is when we're doing a distance check, owner to current cover. Actually, you know what? That's fine. Because I was thinking should be checking the distance from the cover to our new cover. But if we're standing there, then our position's almost the same as our cover. It should be pretty much the same. So I think that actually is just fine, just the way it is. Right. So okay, let's save that to get new cover from cover. So it's very close to the same. Just got that one little difference to it. And that is, we're going to run an FSM. And it's going to be get cover from cover. All right, and again, we can use our angle of cover, cover distance. Again, we could turn that into a float. We might want to make this one maybe bigger. I don't know. Maybe not. Let's call it cover distance. Let's use a value there, and then we can put cover distance into our input, and we can see it in our thing. And then we can use it over here as well. All right, because now I can come up here and say cover distance, we're going to use 15. Up in our Playmaker controls, and if you see down here in our actions, it's now 15 because they're linked. All right, so this guy says we have changed covers, and we need a target, cover distance, and we have the return cover, which is cover. And what else do we need? So we can go tall or short. I think this thing should just have a finish. Right, there's no point in, which is what he does. He just does a finish. All right, so let's get rid of those. So we're going to run that, and then we're going to run, oh yeah, we need to deal with that. So let's copy and paste before and set it to false. And okay, we got that. So what we need to do is from here, we need that finished event so that we can come down here and we can check. Actually, you know what this one's going to be? The return cover is, you know what? Yeah, we're going to say this one's going to be a new variable called new cover. Let's separate those. New cover. So if we have cover and we don't have cover, so more or less, if we try to get a new cover, so okay, so the one we had, we're going to set that to now false. We're not using it. We try to get a new cover from our cover, and then we're going to check our new cover. Did we actually get a new cover? And if we did, is null, then we have no cover. We need to just return to our cover. Right, so really all we need to do there is come back over here, right? It sets this back into true, and we're going to make sure that we're there, and we'll recheck the openings, find out if it's short or tall. what else? And if we have a new cover, then all we need to do, set game object cover is now going to be the new cover. And then we can actually go over there and have it run the rest of the logic for us. And that's it. Now we have the cover will change just like that. So we have range combat and we have that, but we also have positions that we can actually go to of an array. So we can actually randomize which path we're actually going to be going. So in range combat from tall cover, now let's go into there. It needs an input of an array. This is going to be the I hit my caps locks. Available positions, and it is a vector array and it is a input. So now we have the available positions. So we're going to check our weapon. That's fine. I don't know why we have it finished here. We can get rid of that. We have no weapon. We have a weapon. We check our ammo. Do our reload or loaded. We move into range, which we're not actually doing. I can change the name of that. We're just checking our distances. So either we have no target or we're out of range. Has target. How is has target ever going to change? Well, we'll deal with that later. Technically, this one shouldn't ever be an issue. Oh wait, no, it's always going to be an issue because it's looking at false. Has target. I'm going to disable him. Especially with how we changed it with the sight on that. Alright, so anyways, we're either out of range or we're in range. If we're in range, we get all this fun stuff and we can do the shooting. We can't do the shooting yet, right? What we need to do here is actually move shooting over here. And we have the action done. We're actually going to need this, right? So we int compare and Right, so ultimately, how are we going to want to do this? So the shooting is going to be based on action done. So when action done is false, we need a bool test. And we have one here. I'm just going to drag it over here. So bool test the action done. All right, so if action done is true, we need to move back. Right? So that has to go somewhere and do something. And then that means from here, so we get current ammo. We check that. Not loaded, we're here. If we are loaded, those don't need to be every frame. Because when we move back, we can actually go right through that. So we need to get our position, put that above null or it's not going to work, and this is going to be starting position. All right, so when we're going to be moving back, we're actually going to set agent destination to starting position. Let's see if we can actually drag one of these in. Run to cover. Because this guy is based on the cover. Yeah, you know what? We actually probably could use that. I think. Right? Because we could have set agent, or no, sorry, run FSM, run to cover. So we need to go back to our cover, right? So we're going to need our cover, which means our cover needs to be an input. There it goes. And the speed, that can be 5. We can put that into the thing. And when it's done, we are in cover. And we can check this. And if we are loaded, we only need to check that once. We can now do a wait or a random wait. You know, maybe anywhere from 2 to 4 seconds. Again, you can use those for variables, and then we can go back over here. And before we do this, though, I guess we need to actually get to the position, right? So this is where we can now array get random from the available positions. We're going to get a position to go to, and we need to more or less mimic this guy. And because we're going to use them for a few different things, I think we'd be better off duplicating him and making another version of him as a template, just to help keep things clean, right? Because here we get the speeds, we get all that fun stuff, and we do everything the way we're supposed to do it, but we have a target cover, and that's what we're not going to have when we want to go to a position. What we have instead, we have a cover fire position, and that needs to be an input. And then that's it. That's all we got to do. So let's save this as template. Let's say run to fire position. All right, so now we can get rid of that. Go back up into our actions. And in our range combat, which it needs to cover, okay, yeah, that's fine. This available positions needs to be available openings. Okay, let's go into here, and now we can run FSM, and here, getting to be quite the tree, run to fire position. Oh, we need to get rid of that. We're not using cover. I don't think we're using cover. Are we using cover? Owner, distance. Oh yeah, we're using cover right there. So we need to change this guy out. Because we're not running to cover. We want to set agent destination. That's true. But we're not going to a cover, we're going to the cover fire position. We can get rid of that one. And let's get rid of cover. We don't need that variable. All right. So now we're running to the fire position. That's that guy. Speed, we can make that 5, sure. And when he finishes, we can now we can run our normal fire. Now that we've hit our actual cover position. And when he's done, we're going to run back to our cover and we'll check our bullets, wait some time, and loop again. And the action done also needs to be a output, right? So now when we come back out here, we see we have action done. He can sit there because running options is running off of action done. All right, so let's briefly test this. Imagine this video is getting long. Yep, it's already over an hour. And we still got lots to do. There's gonna be a third video on this one, I suppose. That's one of those things for covers though, right? So they chose a spot, they chose apparently that spot. And let's go see what they're thinking. They are running get cover. Oh, we have a crazy loop here. And this is in cover manager. It's looping forever. That shouldn't. Why is that running forever? It should only ever run once. So get cover comes into here. And we get the current cover. And we loop, do a distance check. So it's good. Come over here. See if it's used. We do the angle check. We did all that. We array add possible covers. We've added current cover. That was a little weird. So there, that ran fine that time. Well, I guess we should put a failure event on it. Alright, so they're firing. That's cool. But they're not moving to the right position. They're in range combat because the cover never picked up. Okay, so we have some sort of issue with the get cover with a finish event. And it resizes, sets that. We loop. I wonder if I should get rid of that. I wonder if that's causing us some issues. Let us see. Dear Lord, our person's gone crazy. So we did get a cover. Okay. And we are running to cover. And they are just simply running back and forth to a new out of range. Alright, so we have an out of range issue. Out of range, which happens if distance to target is equal or less, is now greater than attack range. So let's see why that is so. So we come into here. This is out of range. So our distance to target is 16. Our attack range is showing 0. So that's something we obviously missed, our attack range. Right? Because in our range combat, we have the weapon. And this one, we do have the weapon. Target. The attack range. So we need to get the attack range. We're missing a step somehow. So this guy we know has attack range of 26 coming from the weapon. So we need to stuff that in there. That probably lost it when I made a template out of it. So in here we need to get FSM float. So we can do this over here above this stuff from the weapon. The FS, I think I called it stats. Nope, gun. Good thing I checked. And attack range. And that's there. Alright. We got the ammo, so that should prevent them going all ballistically stupid. Hopefully. I want you to make a liar of me. So we come here. They finally got a spot. They're happy. They come out. And they're almost there. They've moved to the right spot. And what is he now doing? Let us see. So he's running the options. He is run here. So that he is doing. We set that. We're getting the distance. Distance to cover. How is our distance to cover so high? 1300? That's not right. Use owner. Distance to cover. Our owner is at virtually the same. So we do have a bit of an issue here. So let's get into that guy and fix that up. Where are we here? We're over here. We are that was this guy, run to fire position. So distance, getting distance. I'm actually gonna split this up. I think, because this stuff here, get, set, Set agent destination. I'm actually going to move this down here. No, we're going to add a state and put it in there. And just to separate this out a bit, stopping distance, set the stopping distance, and I'm going to run the get distance once. And then I'm going to copy it and paste it down here and do this one every frame. And then I'm going to take the compare, stuff it down here, and it can come down here. And in here, I'm actually going to stick a next frame event, I think. All right, that should split that up. It should. So they're trucking along, doing their thing. They see us, they run into their spot, they stop, they think about it, they come out, and they're still not happy. Something is still not quite right in their world with the running to the position. Getting the distance, there's something. Get distance. Oh, we have target or vector to none. That's probably causing us all kinds of issues. Okay, well, silly me. Silly me. So we're going to get distance. Okay, so up here, I'm going to maintain this this next frame. I think this is probably a good idea. So use owner and cover fire positions down here. Well, this one's actually supposed to be a none, right? We're checking the distance between these things. We had it as we're checking the distance of these two things to nothing. And that's just, well, flat out silly. Right, so take the owner of that and use cover there. There we go. I'll have to check it on the other ones just in case, but at least we know if we have an issue there, we already know what the problem is, how to solve it. So they come here, right, they do their checks, nope, and they come back in. Oh my god, look at that, it's working. Until they did it again. Now let's see. Let's see what they're thinking of right now. Oh, run to cover. That's probably the same problem, I bet you. I bet you. Let's edit this guy. Because we're getting distance, right? From owner to cover. Nope, that one's fine there, right? Because it's these two game objects, the vectors in there. And I guess we'll have to just see that one, because that one should be okay. Oh, except for the stopping distance. That'll be an easy fix if that's all that is. Right, so they come out and they shoot, and then they go back out, and they have some sort of issue here. Run to cover. Yeah, see how their distance is 1.5? It just happens to be, well, not anymore, but it was sitting there as 1.5, which is somewhat up there. I bet you, because their distance is sitting there like that, and if I try to move them back, it'll slowly pass, and they come back out. So we do have a little bit of a problem here. Alright, so let's get into here, and let's let's get into this guy and let's break him up too, kind of like how we did before. Right, let's just separate these get sets and the get distances. So we can change this one to be the next, or to a finished. Doop. And that should be all it takes. So we're going to, I'm going to set that nice and low just in case that has something to do with it too. All right. So let's see if that works. It's getting there. It is definitely getting there. As you can see, a cover system isn't just a couple variables you stuff into something. Right, and we come out, or maybe we don't. Oh, there we have something right there. So let's take that guy and move him down. Make sure that that is not in that top state, because he's happening every frame and nothing else is. That would not be good. Right, so we come into there, we're in range combat, they're shooting, they go in. No, we still have an issue. We still have an issue there with that distance, right? The distance is still screwing us up. Okay, what happens if I bring this up? Well, then obviously it just fails. Right, and that guy is action done is move back. So he moves back and he's supposed to be running back there. Show. Right, the distance, I mean the distance is good, that's fine, but why aren't we actually moving? Alright. Alright, this is what we're going to do. Up here we are going to reset path. We're going to say whatever the hell you're doing, stop it. We should almost do that up here too. Just to be on that safe side. And the next frame event's probably a good idea to put into this thing. So that's what we're going to add that there too. Templates inside templates inside templates. Is there anything better? He went to a different side this time. That was interesting. Right, but he is there though. Well, practically. I mean, he may not be able to actually get there. It's kind of weird that getting distance, that's not changing. Cover fire position isn't changing. You would think if I'm over here, that distance would be a little different than what it is. And it's not. So, available openings is there. Cover fire position. That is an input. I wonder if I should. No, because he is a random. See, the other option you can have is agent remaining. Agent remaining. So we have set destination. Arrived every frame. Let's see if that improves things. I should have just stored the results to make sure that was actually working. I mean, the logic is technically firing, but they're not moving. Why is that? So we go to the position, and the arrive is happening like instantly, and that should not be happening. So let's say distance to cover. Let's capture that. Is 0. All right. So if we wish to use that, set agent destination. You know what we should probably do there if that's what we're doing? I have to add another. Is set agent destination up here and path pending done event. When the pathing's done, come down here. That way that doesn't run prior to him actually having the path, which we'd have to add something on the other side too. Right, so now we have right, so everything's went good the first time. And on this guy on the way back, he's got that same issue. So we kind of need to do that same thing here. And I think then we're going to be okay. All right, going into this guy. So if we destination, you know what we can actually do with that is set agent destination and use the finished down here. There we go. And obviously we need a position here. So let's get rid of that. Get rid of that. Get rid of that. And remaining. And arrived every frame. Okay, that's good. So here we just need to get position of the cover, and that will be a, now we can set it there. Now let's see how that goes. He's always coming in and out, but now we have another issue. Let's see. So he's coming in. He's moving out. He's coming back here. And he's running that bool test. Aha. Right, because he's an output. So there's a very easy fix at least. All we got to do is get into here. And on start, right, we have action done. Let's make sure we put that right at the very top as false. That way when this thing runs, this thing should be false instantly. Instantly. And then it shouldn't trigger any of this. And if it does, well, then there's another thing we can do to fix that. Just a matter of what we need to do. Alright, so... Oh man, they were too far away. Well, that's a little odd. I wasn't really expecting that. Alright, so they've gone in there. Oh, those bastards. They killed me. But it is working. It is working just fine. So I think we should probably end the video there. I mean, we still obviously got more to do, right? We got to do the grenades. And we still have to do the combat for the short, which is going to be pretty close to this. It does have a slight difference to it, obviously, because we're coming out of short. So it adds a kind of a third option, whether we go to a side or just stand up and shoot. And we need to, obviously, once we get things kind of going, to also make sure that this change covers works. So there is a few more things we still need to do, but it is definitely getting there. And I think we're kind of on a bit of a home stretch with it. And hopefully you guys are watching it being like, wow, that's starting to be some pretty cool fucking AI. So we'll see you in the next video.